ward councilor seat about as far as I'd want to take it. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But if the right opportunity and I really was interested, yeah, I would consider coming back.
Okay. Well, good. Well, you heard it from me. You know, I know a lot of people have expressed opinions that they were sorry that you left the council and they wish that you were still on the council. And I'm sure you got a lot of people who asked you to, you know, geez, I wish you'd run again or something like that. So
I had that, and it's nice to hear, you know,
sure.
that people appreciated my service, and I did get quite a bit of that. And some people were really upset with me that I was leaving, but I had to do what I felt was right for myself and my family at the time.
But you get, you know, being upset with you for that, the reason that they're getting upset with is a good thing for you, because it makes you feel good that they're really going to miss you on that. So we'll leave it at that. So you're going to leave the door open in case something comes up?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't definitely never say no, but I'd have to really get that fire in the belly to want to do it again.
Okay.
And that fire had gone out towards the end, and I didn't feel that staying on was beneficial to the city if I didn't feel it anymore.
Okay.
So.
All right. Good enough. Good enough. Well, we got to talk about a couple of issues, obviously, but before we do, sometimes I go into like what's happening around, you know, Peabody or you know, little activity or whatever. So sometimes I mix up the start of the show and sometimes I go right into issues, and other times I, you know, do some other things. Like tonight I'm just going to talk about a couple of things. And we talked about it briefly when you first came in. On the way down here, I went by Bill and Bob's roast beef shop over here, and just wanted to report in case some people didn't hear about it, didn't know about it. There was an accident at Bob's roast beef place, and a driver backed through the front door. Mistaken the gas pedal for the brake, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fortunately, she wasn't hurt, the driver, and there was nobody in the store at the time, I guess, you know, at the counter, so nobody got hurt inside. But wow. I read in the paper that they said that they're going to be open real soon. They're not going to be closed very long, so that's good news. And I went by tonight to specifically slow down and look, and sure enough, they've got it all boarded up. They're working on it. So
and it is. I've been in there a few times, and there are seats right against the window. So if somebody was sitting there, Dick, there would have been a fatality.
Yeah,
that's pretty serious stuff.
So for those of you who missed it, you know, there was an accident there, but it's going to be, it's in the works of being fixed, and so, you know, things are coming back online for Bill and Bob, so we wish them well. The other thing is that the pop-up market, you know, it's the summertime's coming, yeah. The pop-up markets, everybody loves pop-up markets. I think most all the communities around have them, and to be honest with you, I like to browse, go there and browse through them myself. But there was one yesterday, and there was like, I don't know, 21 businesses, you know, bakeries and 4 farms, bakeries. They even had Ipswich Brewing down there, so for beverages. They had coffee, tea companies in Ipswich, I guess. And some other specialty gourmet shops that were there, and I guess it was a pretty large crowd there, so good day for it.
Yeah, and the city does a great job, and you have to remember, too, right next door to the park, they have it at Leather City Common, is the not the Peabody House, Crown and Shield, and there's hundreds and hundreds of seniors that can walk right next door, buy farm products, fruits, and have a beer if they'd like one.
Sure.
But I think the city does a great job with that.
Yeah. And you know, we were talking, you know, about the now. Barry pulled up on his phone there. I don't know if these dates are 100% accurate, but they had one yesterday, which is the 12th. The next one is scheduled for the 26th of this month.
At 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m. And then there's one in August, the 3rd of August. So that looks like it's about every 2 weeks. So don't take that as gospel, but at least you know it's not yesterday's was not the last one. And they're definitely on board with the 26th of having one. So in a couple of weeks, they'll have one at the Leather City Commons. So any of you folks out there interested in farmers markets, you know, that's your a place to go. And Leather City Common is across the street from, well, actually it's right next to the plaza where the liquor store is, the Bunghole Liquor, and 7-Eleven on Lowell Street. So, okay. A lot of people don't know Leather City. Where is that? What park is that?
Pete's Park.
Where they have the concerts is the best way. You know, where they have the concerts. So,
yeah.
Anyway, and then Barry, you had something on your mind about a fundraiser that you wanted to mention.
As I do enjoy the golf, I was informed by Councilor Ann Manning that she is putting on a fundraiser at the Meadows, our own golf course, on June 23rd. It's going to be a long drive contest, which is exciting, you know, to see somebody hit the ball, you know, a mile. But that money will go to the Drug Awareness Committee and first responders. I believe registration is at 4:15 in the afternoon, and it kicks off at 5:30. So let's hope we get a big crowd to support drug awareness.
The 23rd?
The 23rd, it's a Saturday night, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not going to compete. You know, I don't want to win. So I just want to sit back and watch and maybe help.
Right, so it's for the drug awareness?
Yeah, and first responders, and remember Jim Rice.
Okay, okay. All right, good. So we got the some of the details of that stuff behind us now. The house cleaning duties, as they say, are done. We want to go right into some of the issues that one issue we're going to continue to talk about on this show, because I think it's going to be probably the leading issue for the next decade in this city. So we want to talk a little bit about it. But before we get to that, you know, front and center, the hot item for the day is the teacher contract. And I did get a bunch of phone calls from people that, you know, they were talking about teachers standing outside schools and not going in. And so I think at first people thought it was a strike, I guess. But basically what it was is the teachers are going to enforce the work to rule philosophy of you know, the contracts, the negotiated contracts. And basically what that is that they're not going to go to work until the contract says they have to be there at 9 o'clock. They're going to go in at 9 o'clock. And their school day ends at whatever time it is, 2:30 or whatever it is, 2:15, and they're coming out after that. So there's no more extra time, you know, either spending time with students or whatever on the front end of the day or on the back end of the day. They're going to just adhere to the letter of the law, I guess, and those things are negotiated in the contracts, as you know, as we all know. So, so you know, the work to rule is just, we're going to live by the contract. That's what it is, and that's in response. It's a protest, really, in response to the fact that the proposed budget, school budget, called for the elimination of 2 of the professional development days, which is stated in the contract, obviously the past contracts, and they took that out. And so that's very important to teachers, because professional development days aren't just, you know, I know there's a lot of cynicism out there. You know, people they are very cynical about, because they don't understand certain things and they're not well informed. But they think, oh, it's another day off for the teachers, and I got the kids home and all that stuff. But basically, those days are important to teachers, because they have to be recertified. So they have to take courses, and they have to do things for recertification so they can still teach again. And a lot of their licenses depend on it too. So it's an important day for them, and for those days to be lost, is significant to many, many teachers. They wouldn't even be able to teach if they weren't recertified and got their license back in order and all that stuff. So it's more important than I think the average citizen believes it, and understands it. And so anyway, the teachers are going to, adhere to their strict contract rules of when they go to work and when they leave, the length of their day and all that, in protest that these days they're going to lose these days. But the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, Barry, is that just because it's proposed, as you said earlier, what's the term that Mayor Theresian used to? You propose.
The council disposes.
I dispose, right? So the thing is, just because it's a proposal, it doesn't mean that it's written in stone. And I've seen some comments and I heard some comments about elected officials who are talking like it's a fact, okay? And that's not so, because the city council hasn't voted on it, the school committee hasn't voted on it. It's proposed in a budget.
The school, can I take a step back? So, number one, I'm not sure what the beef is with the teachers. I'm hearing different things, but is it contractual or is it about the budget? Okay, so in terms of talking about cutting developmental days for teachers, that's a union negotiated issue. So unless I'm not getting it, I don't even know why that would be on the table. I know they're currently under negotiations, so I think our superintendent should know that you can't recommend cutting those.
Oh, he can. No, but he can, but he can't. But it's just a recommendation.
Yeah, but so let's say they did, and it's in their contract. Whether that contract is expired or not, I don't know. They're going to file a lawsuit. So.
The contract is up, isn't it? I think
they're negotiating now. Yeah. I don't know if it ends the end of this June 30th to the end of the school year.
It does, I think.
And then it starts up. Right. So, but those are things that should be, I would think, that would be discussed privately in negotiations and not brought out. And they're upset about something, whether that's solely the issue. I don't know
there may
what
be
it
others,
is.
Yeah.
But the school department approved the budget. I read in the paper. So the school department approved a budget. The teachers are unhappy. Now it goes to the city council.
Right.
And they're looking at the budget. And somewhere in there was 300,000. I watched a little of it on TV, and the mayor said he was going to take 300,000 of it and put it to the school budget. Now that's not voted on it. The city council still has to approve that.
Right.
So for anybody to be going around saying it's a done deal, that's, it's not fair to the city councilors, because now, is it just a rubber stamp, or do we do what's right for the community and what you think is right? So that doesn't help our city councilors. That makes it look like, okay, it's all done. And whether you like what the issue is or you don't like the issue, that's not the way business should be done. Right. You don't do it on Facebook. You don't put comments on Facebook.
Well, and I think what's troubling too is that some of the people doing it on Facebook are elected officials and whatnot. And be honest with you, it shows the lack of understanding of the process, because it is not a done deal. It's a negotiated item, and the contract is still under negotiation. Okay, so. But the superintendent is sending a message to his mayor, I guess, and to the administration. He's sending a message to the school committee. I'm taking those days out of my budget. Okay? Now, he can say that. He can say that. And that's all well and good on his part. If that's what he wants to do, he can say that. But it's not a done deal, because those are he can't negotiate the contract through his budget.
No, but the other thing you have to remember is he's leaving. So as he's walking out the door, he's making these proposal cuts, and that doesn't put our new superintendent in a good position.
Of course.
It creates instant animosity between the unions, and so that's not. I don't know what the thinking. I don't know all the facts. But to me, that is not a smart move.
What he should have cut out of his budget was the move that he had all his staff go from the Kiley School down to across the street. I mean, and that was about 400 grand. So
no, it was more than 400,000. I voted against it. It was 600,000 over 5 years.
Over 5 years, yeah.
And you know, I said to him,
but the initial thing was 450 or something, and then there was other things there as well. But I think
either way, it was just, I didn't think it was fiscally responsible to do that.
Me either.
And I said to him at the budget hearing last year, you know, your enrollment is down 500 or 600 students at the high school. You certainly could have found a place for 15 administrators at the high school. But that's a decision that's made, and they thought that what's best. I still don't know what's happening with the Kiley School, where they were moved out of.
Well, you know, all of a sudden, you know, the reason it's relevant, folks, and anybody that wants to call in on anything, you know, it's an open, let's make it an open mic night. They can talk about anything you want to talk about is on the table. But if you want to talk about the school thing, give us a call, 978-977-0570. We'd love to hear from you, especially on this contract thing, because I've got some real issues with, you know, the management, as I have, if the folks have been watching the show the last couple of months now, I'm really on a tear about, I don't think people in government in this city are watching our pocketbooks very well. I really don't. And they spend money, and all of a sudden on this 300,000 you talked to, I mean, suddenly magically appeared from someplace. Maybe they discovered the money tree in somebody's backyard or whatever, but all of a sudden they got, you know, 300,000. I thought it was more than that, though. I thought it was like, you know, 4 to 5, you know, 4.5,
what I saw on TV was, I think the mayor made a comment that he wanted to take 300,000 out of a certain fund, and I don't know what that
fund. Okay.
And then Councilor Manning made a motion to cut the whole fund out of the budget to, I guess, try to keep our taxes down, or I don't know.
Right.
I didn't follow it. I was just casually watching it, and so that was denied. So now they're going to take that 300. There's still the money in there, and that might have. I thought he said it might have been for future salary negotiations. So you know, he was given reasons why it was there.
Salary increases?
I don't know if it might be union negotiated salary increases.
But anyway, so, mysteriously this money appeared, and so the thing is that, you know, there's money around to you know, and you know, they're going to look like heroes, you know, coming to the rescue on a white steed. You know, we got this. The money was there in the first place, and you know, I mean, if the superintendent of schools, Herb Levine, wants to cut those days out, I mean, as superintendent, he has a right to do that. But that's just a proposal, folks. It's not written in stone, because it hasn't been voted on by anybody. I think the school committee approved the budget.
Yeah, they approved.
But the city council is the final authority on the budget.
So what I don't know...
Believe it or not, the final authority on the school committee budget is the city council.
See, I don't know... See, I'm not privy on that budget, but did the school committee approve that budget with the 2 days taken out and then sending it to the council?
No idea.
Because that's
if anybody knows the answers to these challenging questions, you know, give us a call. Anybody in the know? We're just getting a lot of the stuff secondhand of what we read and whatnot. But we do know it is not speculation that the teachers are pretty upset that those days are going to be proposed. It's proposed to be taken away, and they're going to say, okay. They're basically saying if we want to play that game, then we're going to do the work to rule, you know, emphasis on as far as the contract, you know, goes. So you want to play that, we'll play that too. And all of a sudden, you know, money appears from some mysterious fund, enough to take care of this issue on the days, you know. And so I think that, you know, if that money was available, why are we ever having discussions, if it's in a fund someplace, if that money's available, why are we ever having discussions and fights among boards in this city over teachers, especially like cutting teachers? Teachers who are in the classroom working with our kids and all, why are we getting into all this if money really is there? I mean, what's going on? I mean, why is that money there? And what special purpose is it going to do? So I just, it bothers me that I think there's a lot of political gamesmanship going on, you know. There always is. We called it Machiavellian style politics the last couple of shows, and it's true. I mean, does someone want to look good by, you know, all of a sudden producing money? Oh, I found money or whatever. Maybe. Maybe it's being held for things that, you know, I don't approve of that much, is giving, you know, city municipal employees hefty pay raises so they're competitive with the private sector. I mean,
but
government has never, the salaries have never been the issue, that they should be in line with the private sector, public salaries. They just never have been.
And I just have to say, I go back to the superintendent. He's making recommendations to the mayor to cut this, and that doesn't put our mayor, that doesn't put our new superintendent and the negotiating committee and the school committee in a good position, because they may get by this issue if they fund it. Now you got to go into full-blown negotiations, and you already created this. So that wasn't, you know, I think the mayor was, you know, I defend the mayor, but I think that if the super recommends that, he listens to a super, and he just put in, I think the mayor was put in a bad position to do that.
Oh, I absolutely do, and I do too.
And there's going to be some tough negotiations. It's not going to be easy, because you've already set the tone.
And you know, from the political point of view, you're absolutely right. A new superintendent coming in, and I think she starts July 1st, right?
Yeah, whenever I believe so. Yeah.
The school year ends 6:30. It goes from July 1st to 6:30, so it ends in a couple of weeks, and it's not a good position for her to be in. You know, if this thing actually goes through, and it's going to make these negotiations, these contract negotiations, very, very tough. And if there's any teachers out there watching tonight, and you want to give us a call, 978-977-0570. Love to hear from you. And I know that you know, probably this will blow over. It'll probably blow over because it looks as though that they're moving already with this huge find of $300,000. So I think they're moving towards, like, I think the mayor realizes he's in a tough spot here because, you know, the school, now, the school committee passed that budget?
Yes.
Okay. So that immediately puts the administration of the city on the defensive. And
well, every union teacher in the city is going to be watching that city council meeting and watching close, and to see what the. But once again, I don't want to go around in circles, but I just don't understand how they can cut something that's negotiated collective bargaining.
They can't.
So, yeah, so because they'll file a lawsuit. So, listen, we just want, what you want is you have a new super coming in. She's going to be thrown into the fire, and we want her to succeed. The alternative isn't good. The high school's in level 3. We need it to go to level 2 and move forward and put her vision for our schools into place. And I want her to succeed and make the schools the best they can be. And it's not starting off the way I would want it if I was her. But we'll see.
One strike, you're at the,
well, so let's hopefully.
We have a call? Okay. Yep. Barry, we're going to take a call.
Okay.
Okay. Caller, you're on.
Oh, good evening.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm calling about the contract, and the contract that we have now expires August 31st.
August 31st, okay. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay.
Yes, but also I want to read a posting from someone on Facebook. It's a school committee member, but it just says, happy to say thank you to Mayor Betancourt for giving additional money to the schools. School committee will be restoring 2 days of professional development to our budget, as well as increasing funds for supplies.
Okay.
So that's the good news.
Well, yeah, but the clarification that I think everybody needs, and Barry's brought it up a couple of times, and now those days are negotiated. Those are negotiated through contract, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so how does the superintendent, how are days restored that aren't taken away yet?
Well, that's the problem, because I know our union president said that the teacher's work year is a mandatory negotiable item. That's it. It's that simple.
So, see, what people need to understand, and I think most teachers, union teachers, understand it, but I don't think the general public does. A budget is nothing but a proposal.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it has to be voted on, in this case, by the school committee first and then by the city council. So everything in that budget's proposed. Anything that's in that budget it can't add to it.
Right.
They can't add to it, but they can take out.
But I think what we're getting at here is that $300,000 is going to go for supplies. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with professional development, because that has to be negotiated within the contract. So that's a good sign, ma'am, that they'll get their supplies they've been desperately needing, and that's great news, and hopefully they'll work out that union contract.
So I'm glad you called on this because and read that email, because on their Facebook, because that's not really accurate what was said. Restoring the days, rather that the threat of taking them away has been eliminated, I guess, is a better way of saying it, because those days haven't been eliminated. They can't be unless they're negotiated out at the table between the mayor and the unions for the school teachers, so.
Yes.
Were you offended by that post?
Was I offended by the post I just read?
Yes.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
No.
So you were more happy that some money was being restored to the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
And I feel like the work to rule was effective. And the parents going to the meeting, I want to give a shout out to them. Okay. They were so passionate and well-spoken about their child's education, and they value the teachers.
And as we all should. I mean, unfortunately, not all people in the public sector value teachers, but as we all know, they're some of the most important people in our lives. I still remember teachers I had, and I think everybody I ever met remembers a good teacher or two that helped them out too. So they're really important to all of us, and taking things away from people who are so important to our children and the education of our children, taking their things that they need for their skills to teach, their license to teach, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
So
I did just get a notice that a tentative agreement is in place for a contract.
Oh, congratulations. Well, hopefully it's good.
Yes, right. So it's moving along.
Now,
that's great
now,
news.
would you say it's a fair comment that the work to rule protest, you said it was effective, but it was basically put in place because of these days, right, that were threatened to be taken away?
Correct.
Okay, that's fair comment to say that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks very much for your call. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, sure. All right. Good night.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, she straightened us out on the last day of the contract.
Well, and that's good news that that's all good for the city. That's
well,
great news.
I think that is it really wild and crazy to say that maybe the superintendent overstepped his bounds in the budget? And maybe he did something that, first of all, he can propose it, but they certainly can't be talking like it's just because he put it in the budget, it's a done deal. So, I mean, I think you made a good point, Barry, a really, really smart point, a good point, political point. Put the administration in a hell of a position, I can tell you that. And if he's not taken to the woodshed for it, well, shame on the mayor. I think my foot is only 9.5, but if it was 12. But the thing is that I think he should be taken to the woodshed big time on it. So, but I'm glad that things are moving on. And sometimes you don't have to push. You don't have to push like protests so far that they become annoying and they become disruptive. Just a gentle persuasion of the right amount of pressure And guess what?
This
Cooler heads prevail.
And then just one other comment, the posting on Facebook. We do have open meeting law, and I'm not saying there was any violations, but you want to conduct all your business in an open door policy in the meetings. You can't be talking on Facebook. Facebook is not the place for elected officials to be discussing budgets. It's just, it has to be discussed on the floor at an open meeting where people can hear. And so I get nervous when I hear that, because I read in the paper all these other communities that have open meeting law violations, and I don't want to see us go down that path in Peabody. You know, so and maybe it's just didn't realize what you're doing, but that's not the way you conduct business.
Yeah, of course.
On important stuff like that. So
of course. Okay, good point. Okay, so anybody else want to call in on this? Fine. We're gonna move on to another topic now, but we will keep the teacher contract, you know, open all night here on the show to talk about if anybody wants to talk about it. And so hopefully the good news is the negotiations will go well, and all those days will be, you know, history.
She said there's a contract. Hopefully, cross your fingers.
Yeah. So, okay. Another issue that we talked about in the show in the last couple of shows, but we said here on Bob and I wanted to reconnect with this and bring it up again and again and again. It's almost like the issue up in your ward with the gravel pit up there. You know, for years we kept talking. You know, the show, we had almost show after show we'd have something to say about you know, that situation. But and I think this is going to be the same thing. It's water. The answer to the issue is water, and we've talked about the scarcity of water in Peabody because of you know, we had the fire at the Coolidge plant, you know, and then we've got the one up in West Peabody, and you know, that plant is like it's like half functioning. I mean, it's like not even 50%.
You're talking Winona
Winona,
Street?
yeah, Winona Street, yeah. And the thing is, it's ancient, it's aging, and not only is the quality of our water affected by, one, not having a plant, and two, the one we have is not really functioning properly, and we're forced to buy water from the MWRA, and we're spending an awful lot of money on that, and you can tell by your water bills, okay? You know, we all know that. I mean, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and it's going to take time for these plants to rebuild. I think, you know, I don't know when the Coolidge plant's going online, but I think, you know,
when we
did
that, when we approved it, I thought it should have been up because that's costing us over $250,000 a month. So I thought it was going to be ready a few months ago, but as far as I know, I'm not privy onto when it's going to be. Hopefully soon.
I thought I heard sometime later this month or early in July or whatever.
Well, let me just give you a brief synopsis of water, because I'm pretty knowledgeable about water. I don't want to bore people, but so we have two main sources of water in Peabody. Okay, we have Spring Pond, and we have Winona Street Pond. And Winona Reservoir is supplied by the Ipswich River. Okay, so we're limited by the DEP, and Ipswich River watershed oversees this whole thing. We can only take out so much water per year out of the Ipswich River because there's, you know, 20, 30 other communities. We can't just take as much as we want because it has to be, you know, divvied out to the different communities.
Right.
So now you have only, let's just forget about the fire, because this has nothing to do with that. That's a whole separate issue. So now you have so much water is X, your supply of water in the two places is X, and you have a demand, which is Y. And Y is all your housing, your drinking water, your storage, businesses. And so what I believe I read 7 years ago, we always got water from the MWRA, but it was a very small amount, 5% maybe. Yeah. And now I'm hearing it's getting close to 30. So with the growth in the city, we've been using more MWRA water, which is much more expensive. So now with and this is kind of where what I read out of it, the issue at the Winona Street plant, because it was, I don't know if it's dysfunctional. It wasn't. It was okay until something happened with chemicals and didn't get filtered right. Now the DEP says you have to repair it to the tune of 15 million or whatever that figure is, but you don't want to go into the MWRA. I've heard from people in Revere, their water bills are almost as much as their tax bills. So let's go back to when you mentioned that comment about planning and developments. This is where it all comes in, is do we have enough water to satisfy 80 apartments on Oak Street, 24 on Ralph Road, 23 on Birch Hill up in West Peabody, and this is going to put a demand. Now, if you read the Salem News, all these small communities have already put in water bans. You know, Danvers, Hamilton, Wenham, Middleton, because they have to conserve their water. We haven't had that issue. So at some point, there's going to have to be some discussion about conserving water. It's just not an endless supply.
Well, the discussion has got to expand too, though, Barry. And you and I have talked about this, I mean, away from the show, we've talked about it over coffee a few times and whatnot. But I can tell you, it seems as though the city council, the administration and the city council in the city are actually working against themselves. We have a limited resource called water that's going to get worse because of the problems we had. It's going to take millions and millions of dollars to bring these plants up to snuff and get them all back online and all that kind of stuff, okay? Millions of dollars. And it's going to take time. Now, the city council and the mayor there aren't any construction contracts for housing that they haven't liked. And instead of saying, hey, look not only is some of this development intrusive into neighborhoods, really intrusive, okay? But if that doesn't, ring your bell, okay, then how about it's going to impact our infrastructures terrifically? If that doesn't ring your bell, how about the fact that it's going to make the water that we have here much more precious because we don't have a lot of it, and all these projects coming online, you mentioned 3 or 4 of them and you didn't mention the one up in your neighborhood. It's not in our city, but
that's another.
The mayor, the city of Peabody wants to sell them water. So if that's the case, we have a situation here where, the water bills could very well rise to a level of property taxes and everything else. And because where are we going to get the water? You just already said it. We're going to get the water from MWRA.
Right. Now, what you have to remember too is, and you mentioned the city council. The city council isn't totally responsible for these developments. Some of these developments are allowed by right because of the zoning.
Right.
So Birch Hill, but it has to go through the planning board, and that board keeps rearing its head, and they approve everything. Now, I just read that Sears is going out and they want to put in 3 swimming pools. Where's the water coming in for that? So does that go? I don't even know if that's a special permit. Now, that might be the council. Where are they getting the water for continuous swimming pools? So I see the planning board, like this one on Ralph Road in Councilor Turco's ward. 24 homes. The name of the project is called Stone Gate. So what do you think it's built on?
Ledge.
Absolutely. And they're going to blast away, they're going to rock crush, they're going to destroy, and you got to give them water.
But don't spar with me now on this, because you're sparring with me. You're pulling your political hat like this.
What?
You say, well, they can do that because of the zoning allows things, okay? But zoning may allow things, okay, but the planning board decides whether, okay.
Exactly.
And who appoints the planning boards? Okay? Come on, let's not spar. Now, when I say priorities are important in government, they are, because if you allow this kind of development to go on, knowing that you've got a crisis in water looming, okay? So say the other things don't ring your bell, okay? You don't care okay, you don't care that the public, that those neighborhoods are going to be intruded on and all that kind of stuff. But water, it will, okay? So if you have a, can you just hold 1 second, call? I just want to get my point in with Barry, if I may. If it's really going to hurt the city in all of our pocketbooks because we have to buy more water to feed these developments, wouldn't you say, hey, planning board, sit on, let's hold these back for a bit.
But before we get to that call, there's a way to stop a lot of this nonsense on single-family homes. Right now, our lot size on a single-family home is 20,000 square feet. If the city council wanted to change that, raise it up to at least 30, so that cuts way back the amount, and then it's not as profitable for the developer to come in and do that. Or raise it to 40. If you really want to limit you won't stop on an apartment building.
Right.
Okay. And then, well, let's get to the caller, because you could go into 40Bs and all that stuff. That's a whole nother mess.
Caller, thanks for waiting. I'm sorry to be rude and not take you right away. I just wanted to make that point.
Oh, no problem, guys. Dick, Barry, a big fan of yours.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm sorry, I just came home and I turned it on, and I don't know what you guys have talked about tonight earlier, but Barry, this city is, it's only been 6 months, but we are not doing well without your voice.
Well,
on a whole host of things.
Oh, I wish you could see me. He's red if that's possible.
You know, especially coming out of, you know, teachers not going to work. That's great. That's a great spot we're in. That's fantastic. That's great. You know, we have a deal that was done with a realtor that was going to refab a building, and now their tenant's gone. And the city bought a building for $500,000 that has a tenant that has no place to go. What do you think is going to happen a year from now when they have no place to go? That building's not going to be torn down.
Well, I was going to say, I don't like, you know, a lot of things that the city is doing with our money. I really don't. I think some of these people are really naive. They don't understand what government's all about. But the city should not be in the business of buying property.
I agree.
And that's what they're doing.
I agree.
That's one of the things they're doing, and they shouldn't be.
Right.
I mean, they can't handle the money we give them properly now. Imagine when they start doing stuff like this, please.
Well,
you don't think that there was a wink-wink deal with that whole piece of property?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, so what's going to happen come whenever the lease is up and they have no place to go? Guess who's holding the bag on that deal?
Yeah.
They have to go. You can't let them stay there on an open-end thing. I mean, just think if this was a private business, and I bought that building and you had a lease in there, and I says, Dick, you got to be out August 1st. And you go, well, my lease fell through on the other side. Not my problem. And I know Brody's and...
I understand that, but Barry, you know what happens pre-meetings and post-meetings.
Yeah, I mean...
Where are the meetings held?
Yeah.
Yeah, in that little conference room downstairs.
Thank you. Yeah. So,
where 6 people can fit, and everybody else is viewed as an interloper or you know, crashing a wedding.
What you know? Now I you know, and I don't know what happened with that whole situation of whatever. But it seems awfully. And by the way, we all paid, what was it, $450,000? Whatever the building was worth?
I thought it was $425, but you're close enough. It's fine. Yeah.
To tear it down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good.
Well, the other thing was, when I brought up on that vote, the person who bought all of the property bought a portfolio of properties for $8.3 million in the downtown. Yeah. That was one of the things, and the person took a loan from the Community Economic Development Fund. So at the meeting I said, well, he's going to put $425,000 in his pocket. He needs to put 20%, because that's, I believe he took 20% of $8.3 million.
I think I remember that.
And so the mayor said he was going to make sure it got back there. I'm assuming it did, but he can't just walk away with that money. He devalues the portfolio, and then if we get it upside down, we take a hit. So you got to be careful on the loans you give out too.
But it's just so important that the people that we elect understand finance enough, even if it's just general finance, because if they did their own budgets at home, caller, and understood how the world of finance works, then we'd be better protected of the way they spend our money. I mean, it's just, I don't understand how they get away with this.
Well, Dick, I've called the show before, and a lot of it has had to do with the school budget. And I'll ask Barry, now that maybe that he's not involved, he can say this. Am I outside the line of reasonability at this point?
I didn't hear that.
Of what? What's the word?
No, outside the line of reasonability.
Oh, reasonability, okay.
To think that, as your other co-host, Dick, would say, the interim superintendent forever.
Yeah.
Do you think he set this up to have the teachers go on a uproar to set up Kara Murtagh? Because, God forbid,
I would hope not.
To come in as a knight in shining armor to fix this whole thing.
I would hope not. That would be despicable. To put her in a position to fail right out of the gate would not be fair, and that would really hurt the city. And I think this city has been very generous to him for keeping him on for that many years. We could have gone out and got another superintendent.
Yeah, 4 years ago when they tried.
Right. So I can't believe that he would do that. And I don't want.
Let's just hope not. I mean, I'm not that Machiavellian that I just don't think in those. I understand the Machiavellian style of politics, the underhandedness and all of that. But I'm not wired that way. So I'm with Barry on. I'm hoping. I don't know if that's the case, but I certainly hope it isn't.
It seems like she's walking into a failing situation.
Yeah, it does.
She's going to learn fire right away. Right,
and that's and considering that everybody's walked on eggshells with this guy for years.
Yeah.
To thinking he's the smartest person on the planet. Whatever he says goes, no matter what.
Well, usually the person that thinks they're the smartest on the planet, usually it shows up sometime or other that he's really not the smartest guy on the planet. But anyway, we have another call waiting.
Okay.
I'd like to take it if I
Barry,
can.
good to see you. Come back, will you, please?
Okay. Thanks for the call.
See you.
Thank you. Thanks for holding, the other caller for holding. So, see, you come on the show and the phones are ringing off the hook, ringing off the hook. So, I think they're trying to pass it over now. Oh, we got caller, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. It's my favorite show in America.
Oh, here we go.
I can't hear.
Cannabis. It's cannabis. How are you? I was wondering when you were going to call. Are you there?
I have a question. Did Bob Croce send that little fruit basket thing there from Italy?
You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Where are you? In the subway station?
Bob Croce sent that plant or whatever that thing is.
He's in Italy right now.
He's out of town. I said he's out of town, but he's way out of town.
He's saying, did Bob send this to you?
So you asking? I can't. You're breaking up. You ask. Is this Bob? This is Bob leaving you a little ribbon.
Yeah.
So because he wants to let you know that we're taking care of your plant for you.
What's it say? Don't water here, or don't urinate there.
Yeah, it just says don't light a match near this thing. That's what it says. So what's on your mind? You got anything that you want to talk about?
Well,
this sounds.
I guess I've been listening to the dialogue about the water and the teachers and whatnot. But on the other hand, when I look up what the state gives from the lottery, $6.9 million, Don't they have money to take care of these things?
Well, I mean, every community needs water, right? And communities are expanding like crazy. I know you don't care about all this stuff because as long as they can grow marijuana plants, you're happy. But I'm telling you, there's a looming crisis here, caller. There's a looming crisis, and it's going to be a water situation. We're going to be banned from watering our lawns and everything else because we just can't keep using the amounts of water we're using and, building and trying to supply more water to all these developments. And I just don't understand why our government doesn't get that. And that's a Republican smart way to think, right?
Well, there's a lot of water that we can tap into. I mean, when I grew up, all that
like
water,
where?
the water, that was like a puddle when I grew up. Now it's like
where's the water you could tap into? Where's the water you can tap into? The Quabbin Reservoir?
Just tap into that water behind the Waterhurst. There's a ton of it. It goes all the way from the Waterhurst to the Higgins.
But you just can't drink it with it. You can't go get a cup and go down there and put it in it. You got to friggin', you've got to.
Get one of those big giant Britas.
You've got to treat the water and everything else. What is right?
It's not as simple as it thinks, as you think.
Hey, I'm simple.
You're also Republican. But anyway, so the water doesn't bother you that much. What else doesn't bother you?
So what do you think about the vote coming up next week to ban recreational marijuana?
What? Come on.
Of course, he just threw his back out. You know that.
When that went on the ballot, there was no such thing as a 24% tax on it.
Yeah.
No such thing as a 24% what?
Tax.
Tax on it?
Tax.
The state got a hold of it. It's called
Well, you know
greed.
something? They're looking and say, this is another thing.
Now it's cheaper for me to buy it off the street.
Yeah.
But this is another thing that bothers, the daylights out of me is that, cities and towns want to do things that really aren't in the nicest, it really is not the nicest thing to do for your community, and because it's a moneymaker, okay? It's all about revenue, and they're doing all kinds of stuff that to make money. You got the city buying property, and all this stuff, and it's just crazy. And I don't understand, why they've lost their way in giving us a community that's really, really, really outstanding to live in. Some people say, got blinders on, they say it's terrific, the best place in the, okay, I'm not going to win an argument with those people on that score, but when you start spending our money recklessly like they are right now, someone's got to stand up and speak up about it, and I know you're making millions of dollars, so you don't care. You don't care.
Dick, you sound like a Republican here, which is good.
Well,
someone needs to put their finger in the dike and start spending money. That's Republicanism right there.
It's not spending money. It's about slowing down the spigot a little bit. You know what I mean? And just because a project comes down the line doesn't mean that you have to do it. You can put it on the back burner for a while.
But a lot of this is coming from the State House, and what I take out of the State House is there's never enough money. So we're doing marijuana because, let me just finish. So we've got people who got $24 million in raises, the State House, okay? They voted themselves raises. Then when we have a sales tax holiday, so the average Joe could save $50 on a refrigerator, they said no.
Can't afford
Talk
it.
about disingenuous and a slap in the face to the taxpayer. Then we got people voting for, there's just a lot of things going on that's self-service and greed.
Yeah, but the same guys run every year in their own challenge.
Yeah.
Barry, you need to run against whoever's in there now.
Oh, for state rep, you're talking?
Sure.
That's the guy that passed the no-bid contract on the vocational school. Now we're in massive lawsuits over there, Ted Spiliotis. That's him? You're talking to him?
Sweetheart deal for the...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what...
yeah.
It was a
Yeah, what's
sweetheart
that,
deal.
like 100-year service at the State House now?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's all about the pension.
It was a sweetheart deal, you know. Unfortunately, no one talks about it, but that's what it was, so. Carla, we got 1 minute to go. We gotta
get
go.
about $150,000 a year pension.
Thanks for calling. Always good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you.
My favorite show on TV. I really miss Bob Croce. God.
I'll see you later.
Wow.
Thank you. Take care.
He's watching from Italy, you
Yeah,
know.
he's watching from Italy. What do we got left here? We got we got 2 minutes. Okay. But anyway, I just wanted to say thanks again for coming on.
Oh, I know Bob, you called me, Bob was out, so I was glad to help out.
I really am glad you brought some really good points up tonight, and you know, I think the discussion, you know, it's funny. We discuss a lot of things on the show, but I slowly but surely, some of these things are happening, you know, because now people are talking about their taxes now. For a long time, okay, thank you. For a long time, people weren't talking about taxes. So, because we've been beating the drum over here on the taxes and all that stuff, all of a sudden people are talking about it, you know. And so I think if we can continue to raise some of the level of discussion and discourse on some of the things we don't agree with, maybe some things will happen. So.
You know, and there has to be a balance,
Yep.
you know, and you can't do everything at once. Sometimes if you...
wrap it up? Okay,
No, we got to finish up. But, you know, just do it within, try to stay within your budget if that's
Right.
possible. I know that with contract implications and salaries and all that, but sometimes we bring it on ourselves.
No, I agree.
Thank
you, everyone, for joining us. We're getting kicked off here. They're telling us to leave. So, Barry, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks when we ask you to make the call. Next show is on the 27th, I think. So, tune us in. Thanks.